Hello, hello. Hi, guys. Hope everybody's well today. It is, what day is it? It is August the 25th, Wednesday, August the 25th. We are already at the end of August. This is crazy, you guys. This is crazy. I feel like 2020, I feel like was the year that lasted for like 5 years. And then 2021, I don't even know what has happened. I feel like we were just yesterday celebrating like, yay, it's 2021. Maybe it's going to be a better year. Right? Like that's how I'm feeling today. I'm on day 3 of both of my kids being in school for the first time in 18 months. So that feels really good. I'm just like hiding my phone so that nobody calls me because I just feel like we'll see how long we make it. Tell me you're here. Hi, guys. Okay, great. So yeah, right? So Stacy says I'm still processing 2020 and 2022 is almost here. That's how I feel. Like all of a sudden we're going to look up and be like, what has happened? And so I'm kind of at that zone now too, where I'm like, all right, now it's, even though it feels like it's hard to move forward for a lot of reasons, I think we're at that point where it's like, we got to figure out how to move forward, right? Like we got to figure out how to move forward. And that's what I've been really focusing on lately with my business and life, right? Like how to move forward and get out of this like crazy crisis mode. So we're going to be talking more about that later. But today, we're going to talk about scaling. So this is one of my favorite things to talk about. This is one of my favorite concepts to really talk to you guys about, because I think it's something that is misunderstood, exactly what it means to scale and how it's different from growing. So I'm going to let a few more people join in to make sure that we have people who wanted to join on here. Also, if you are watching this in the Facebook group in Financial Literacy for Women Business Owners, if you're watching me there, then I want you to go to the top and make sure you've clicked where it asks for StreamYard to give permission to see your name. If you click that, then I'll be able to see your name and your picture. Even if you've done it before, for some reason, it happens. I don't know. Okay, so anywho, how's everybody doing? Okay, so we're gonna talk a little bit. I'm gonna tease this up front, and the link should be there, but if not, it's jamietrull.com/challenge. Next Wednesday, the 1st of September, we are starting a free 7-day challenge in the Financial Literacy for Women Business Owners group. So if you're already in it, great. You still need to register for the challenge because there's a workbook that goes with it, and y'all are going to want the workbook, and you can download the calendar and all the things so that you don't miss out. It is a 7-day challenge. It's not going to be like tons and tons of time at all. These are quick wins, and it's designed to propel your profit. It's called the Propel Your Profit Challenge. Make 5% more in 1 week. Okay. And I'm not talking about going out there and working a whole bunch more and making a whole bunch more sales. We're talking about making 5% more without making more sales. And I'm going to show you how. And we're going to talk a little bit about it when we get into this scaling discussion. But I really, really want to make sure that you guys sign up for that free challenge. It is completely free. And I'm going to be live walking you through the steps. And it's going to be 3 steps basically to get you to the point where you are making 5% more in just 1 week. So that's a pretty quick win for you guys. And you want to make sure that you join it. Again, jamietrull.com/challenge. You do have to register to participate. And you're going to have some serious FOMO if you don't register, because people in the group are going to be participating and you're going to be sad that you're not part of it, because it's going to be really fun. Okay, so let's talk about scaling versus growing. Okay. Scaling versus growing. Does anybody have any ideas? I'm going to ask you guys first. If you're talking about growing, because oftentimes we use those terms interchangeably. It's one of those things that we tend to throw out, scaling and growing. And, I want to scale my business. I want to grow my business. But what really we mean, I want to make more money, right? What is the difference? Can somebody tell me the main difference? And I'll tell you here in a minute what it is. But they are distinctly different. And you need to decide which one you want to focus on. They're both good. Growing your business and scaling your business are both good things to be leaning towards, but you need to know what your goal is right now and what you're focusing on, because how you get there is a little bit different. Okay. Now, again, they're both good. They both should put more money in your pocket, but I'm going to show you in a minute why I prefer one over the other. You want to make sure that you're definitely scaling your business and making sure that you have a scalable business first. In some ways, Gloria, yeah, productivity and efficiency absolutely factor in here. And that's for scaling. You're going to have more of a focus on productivity and efficiency, definitely, because of what it means. So let's see, working more versus making more without working so much more. Yeah, so that's a good point as well. So scaling your business oftentimes means, and kind of to Gloria's point about productivity and efficiency, right? It's not necessarily putting in an amount and getting out an amount in the same kind of, proportions. You are going to end up getting out more and putting in less. Okay. So what the heck do I mean by that? And I will pull up some numbers here because I think it really helps to drive it home. And you guys know that I love numbers, but basically the difference is this: growing, first of all, growing a business, like what the heck does that mean? Right? If you say, I want to grow my business. And if somebody tells me they want to grow their business, I look at them and say, what are you wanting to grow? Do you want to grow your revenue? Do you want to grow your profit? Do you want to grow your number of employees? Do you want to grow the number of customers that you have? There's a lot of ways to grow your business. And all of those things could be saying, yes, I've grown my business to X place, right? Obviously, you guys know for me, right? If I'm going to pick one of those things that I want to grow, I'm going to grow my profit. That's the thing that I want to grow of all those things. And in fact, if I could grow my profit without growing a whole bunch of employees, that's even better, right? So you really have to think about, when you say you want to grow your business, what does that mean? Is that just money coming in the door? Is that money left at the end of the day, i.e. your profit that you get to use to pay yourself? Is that impact? It could be growing your business by impact. Now, hopefully impact also yields to a larger profit as well, right? So there's a lot of different ways to define growing your business. Scaling your business, however, means one thing. Okay. Scaling your business really means one thing. And there's a lot of ways to get there, but scaling your business means one thing. It means your revenue in your business, the money coming in, okay, is growing at a faster rate than the money going out. Growing at a the money going out might be growing as well as we grow, right? As we scale our business, the money going out might be growing as well, but it's a little less incremental. It's more, it's not as kind of like that one-to-one relationship. So I'll show you on here what I mean, because I think sometimes numbers help to really drive it home, what the difference is. So let's say right now, bring up a spreadsheet, because y'all know I love my spreadsheets. This is a simple one for you guys. So let's say right now you're making $10,000 a month in revenue. You're spending $5,000 in expenses, and that's total expenses. That might be direct expenses, indirect expenses. That's all the things. That's not taxes. We're not talking about taxes right now. Okay. So your profit before taxes is $5,000 a month. Okay. So that's a pretty easy math. What's your operating profit margin, i.e. the percent of profit over revenue? 50%, which means out of every $100 you make in your business, you keep 50. That's why these percentages matter. If you don't know what yours currently generally is, you want to know this. Right? A lot of times when we're winging it, not really paying attention, we don't really know what our profit margins are. But I like to put it in the standpoint of, if I make $100 in my business, how much do I get to keep? How much could I actually take and put into my pocket? That is what kind of profit margin you're going to want to be looking at and knowing in your business. Okay. Now, again, you probably know folks, or maybe have been the person who makes $10,000 in revenue and spends $9,000 and ends up putting $1,000 into your pocket, which means out of every $100 you make, you get to keep 10. That's not, now, depending on your business, that might be normal, but I would venture to tell you that's not necessarily going to be the most sustainable business. You're going to have to grow that top line a crap ton in order to actually make money that trickles down to you. So that's just really important to remember and to know. Our percentages matter. I know a lot of people that make a lot of revenue, but they spend the vast majority of that money in their business, and they really don't end up with a lot at the end of the day. And that's a hard business to scale, right? Okay, so if this is the case, right, now let's look at what it means to grow, okay? So if we're growing a business, let's say, okay, we're going to grow a business, and now we've grown to $15,000 in revenue. And our expenses have grown at relatively the same rate, right, to $7,500. So we basically added 50% to our revenue. We added 50% to our expenses. That's a growth model. Oftentimes that's kind of the case, right? You hire a new person, they can take on X amount more in revenue, right? And so you're growing your business that way. So our profit's now $7,500. Yay, we're making more in profit. Woohoo. But our operating profit margin is still 50%. we're still only keeping $50 out of every $100 that we spend. So now we're going to have to chase that revenue. We're chasing revenue because that's the only way for us to get more money at the end of the day, right? Okay. Let's talk about what it means and what it looks like to be scaling, to have a scalable business model. And again, growing is not bad. Growing is great. But scaling, you want to have a scalable business model. So scaling means, let's say we're going from our 10,000 to our 15,000 in revenue, but maybe we got there only increasing our expenses by $1,000, right? So again, this goes back to what Gloria said. There's some productivity and efficiency in here, right? It's working more versus making more without working so much more, right? As Stacy said. Let's see. So really here, now all of a sudden we're making 9,000 in total profit and keeping 60%. Our operating profit margins are 60%. So out of every $100 we make that we bring into our business, we get to keep $60. That's a very healthy profit margin. And again, people ask me oftentimes what kind of profit margins they need to be shooting for. It is very industry dependent. So I've had people who've taken my course that have been in daycare settings, and that has a typically lower profit margins. Daycares, grocery stores, things like that have pretty high operating expenses. You might have a lower percentage, and you have to work on kind of scaling that business by, in other ways and making sure that you're really cost controlling so that you can expand those profit margins, right? Other businesses, if you are a single person consultant, you probably have a super high, profit margin. But remember, you also need to think about and value your own time in that. So that's kind of a side comment. But if you're looking at this, right, you can see the how scaling is even better than growing. Both of them are good. Both of them are going to net you more money, right? But if you can scale, meaning bringing in more revenue and not growing your expenses as much, you don't necessarily have to reduce your expenses. But if you did, can you imagine, right? Like, let's say somehow you figured out, and again, this could be a variety of ways, cutting the fat. This could be efficiency and productivity, various different things. Like, what happens if you said, okay, I'm going to figure out how to make more money in revenue, but I actually feel like I can cut some of these expenses. That might not feel possible, but just look at the difference, right? Like, if you could figure out how to do that. So I just want to, now this is probably a little bit more reasonable. Oops, not 600. That would be crazy. I'll take 96% profit margins all day long, you guys. So some of this also depends on the type of business that you have, right? So I'm going to take this down for a second so you can see me again. So some of this is going to depend on the type of business that you have. Some businesses are inherently more scalable than others, meaning like exponential growth is possible, right? So to get more revenue in, you're not going to have to incur a whole bunch of more expenses. So if you are like in a one-to-one service-based business, it can be harder, not impossible, to scale that business. Meaning, if you're in a one-to-one business, you only have so many hours in the day. So you have to figure out how to not cap your income. It's really hard to scale a business when you're capped out at the number of hours that you can work. If you're a freelancer or something like that, you have to figure out how to come up with a scalable business model, which may look like hiring people. It may look like offering your services instead of one-to-one, offering them one-to-many. That's what I do. You guys probably know this. I don't do one-to-one services anymore. I used to. Everything I do is one-to-many. I have online programs and courses that I work with many people at one time to get them results, but I can scale that. I can add more people. Each additional person that I add to my programs does not cost me additional time, really. Incrementally a little bit, right? But not in the way that each new client I brought on was another 10 hours of work. So having a scalable business model is really, really key. So you can scale by really the two major ways that I see people scale, three, by hiring people and being able to make more money off of those people. Now you have to make sure you're financially fit before you do that, because if you don't, you're going to end up in a situation where then you're just, on that hamster wheel trying to find more sales. You need to make sure you have really strong profit margins for that. Or you can do something that's, again, going from one-to-one work to one-to-many work, being able to serve more people at one time, right? So there are various different ways to do that. Online courses is one of them. Or you can scale by, let's say, maybe investing in some type of technology that will help you work faster, right? faster and smarter. So you can invest in something like that to where your time can exponentially the impact of your time can be exponentially increased. So let's see. I love this. Okay, now Autumn. Okay. I love that you have a 90% profit margin. I love that. And that is an amazing profit margin. But I'm guessing, and I know what you do, I know you're a photographer, I'm guessing that means that it's just you, right? And it is easier for a one-to-one service-based business to be at 90% profit margins because it's just you. And if you're not including your own pay in that, which you're probably not, right? Then that's how you're getting to that 90%. So you're saying, your expenses in your business are only 10%. That's great. But I would challenge you to say at 90%, it's now you're probably reaching that cap at some point in time, right? You're probably reaching that cap where you can't grow anymore because you only have so much time. So you got to figure out if you want to grow and scale your business, which you may not want to, right? Let's check with ourselves and say, do I want to do this? But you may have to look at what's a way that I could grow and scale this business, and yet may mean cutting into your profit margins a little bit in the outset to then be able to grow later and scale later, right? So you may need to invest in something, in people or in whatever, in order to grow past that level. So that's a mindset shift that I had to make, because originally I was really, really proud of the fact that at the beginning of my business, I had 90% profit margins too. But that just meant I was doing all the work and I was hamster wheeling it, right? Because I wasn't counting my time in there. And I don't want to hire anybody because then that cuts into the amount that I get to keep, right? And so I was like, look, but then eventually I'm like, wait, I'm not investing in my business. I'm not investing in really growing and scaling my business. Again, it's not something you have to do, but yeah. Yes, exactly. So second shooters and things like that, your margins will go down, and that's okay. So we need to pay attention to margins, right? But we also, when we're moving from just us to a model that's more scalable, in the beginning, our expenses probably will go up, right? Because again, we're moving from ourselves, who probably may not be on payroll, to somebody else. All of a sudden, your profit margin's going to go down, your expenses are going to go up. But then you're creating that scalable business model that going forward is going to be able to really scale your business, right? Whereas otherwise you would have been capped. Yeah, exactly. Let's see. Yes. And this is really key too, right? So there's a lot of keys to having a scalable business model. So before we even start to scale and start to even think about growing, right? Oftentimes we go straight to, I need to grow. And usually what we mean by that is I need more clients. First, we got to figure out, how financially fit are we to begin with? Because you don't want to scale a non-scalable business model. Trying to scale a business model that's not scalable, trying to grow a business that is not financially fit, is just going to drive you into the ground. Okay. It's just going to drive you into the ground. So you have to get fit where you're at and then say, okay, now I can grow this, right? Now I can scale this business. And so the things that we need to look at, for example, like Stacey said, pricing. Pricing is a huge one. Pricing and your profit margins, right? You got to be paying attention to what those are. Knowing what your direct costs are, knowing what your product profit margins are on a product or service basis, right? And knowing what all those indirect costs are. And what I mean by indirect costs are all the other costs that maybe aren't directly related to providing the product or service, right? It's like rent or insurance or the various things that we spend money on in our business, maybe software, right? Where our money goes, we have to be making sure that those are things that we're getting a true investment off of, right? Are we getting a return on the investment we're making? If we're not, how do we lower those expenses to make our business more scalable? Okay. So all of that is to say, yes. I didn't see which one you were talking about, but yes. Selling, increasing prices. But here's the thing, you guys, and I'm going to talk more about this when we get to the challenge next week. So again, we're starting a free 1 week challenge. It's all about propel your profit, make 5% more in just 1 week. 1 week. And a lot of you are actually going to make more than 5% more. And I'm not talking, and we're talking without a single additional sale from what you're already making. That's the difference. Okay. We're not talking about scaling up your marketing efforts. We're talking about making your business financially fit so that it's ready to scale. And that's what we're going to start doing. And we're going to talk about pricing. And I think sometimes we get in our head about pricing, and pricing, you guys, is a formula. And when you realize it's a formula and it's just numbers, all of a sudden, all of that like, can I increase? I don't know. What should my prices? All that like internal, the imposter syndrome, the doubt, the who's going to pay for that? Is mine as good as someone else's? That junk that we run through, right? Like that mind junk, it goes away when you realize it's a formula. You can plug it in and say, okay, I know what my price needs to be. I tell you, it changes everything. We need to stop looking at things through this like really emotional, subjective lens and realize that there is some objectivity here. And that will make it so much easier. And also, if you get to that point, if you realize, okay, I need to raise my prices, right? You can make the same amount of money working less time. And who doesn't want that? And that's very scalable. You want a hamster wheel working 1 million hours, right? To make the money that you're making? Not scalable. Not scalable, not sustainable. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants it. So I'm going to walk through in this challenge how to kickstart that. We're going to get you some quick wins in 1 week during the challenge. And I'm going to be doing it here. Well, I say here, some of you are watching me in different places, but in the Financial Literacy for Women Business Owners Facebook group. I've never done a challenge like this before. So I need you guys to show up and cheer me on because I'm curious to see how it's going to go. I love the content. We have a workbook. You do have to register for the challenge, jamietrull.com/challenge. So you get the workbook, which will come with like kind of your little assignments, which will not be hard. Okay. We're making sure that these are quick, easy wins. This is not going to be something you have to spend 10 hours on. And you can just get to a completely different point in just 1 week. Okay. So it's only a 3-step challenge. The workbook will lay out kind of how it all works and everything like that. And you can come in and give your homework to the whole group and we can cheer each other on. It's going to be a really fun group effort. And we'll get you some more time to sleep, Stacy. That will be the goal, right? So for some of you, the goal is going to be to make 5% more. For some of you, the goal may be, I just want 5% more of my time back, right? Like I just want 5% more of my time back. You can do that too. In some cases, you may be able to achieve both. I said it. You may be able to achieve both. So I need you to be part of the challenge so that you can get there. And we're going to do it in just 7 days. Okay. Because I know it's hard to focus on finances for a long period of time. So I want to give you these quick wins and have you see the impact of making slight changes and the impact that can have overall on your life and your business. That is what I want to show you. Okay, guys. So that's scaling versus growing. Okay. Scaling versus growing. And I really want you to start thinking when you talk about, I want to grow my business, like, what does that mean to you, right? What do you really want to do in your business? And knowing that is going to really be able to punch in the direction that you need to go to get there, right? And most of the time, I would say the goal is let's grow that profit and let's grow that profit margin. That's even better, right? We want to grow it. Yay, I can't see who it is, but I'm glad. Tell me if you signed up for the challenge. Again, it's totally free. I'm charging $0 for this. And we're gonna have a really, really great time. And I cannot wait to see the transformation. We're gonna have some fun too. It's not gonna be all numbers, I promise. There will be some numbers. There will be a few numbers. But there will also be some fun and some dreaming and some just really thinking about where we want our future to go. And that's what I'm really excited to share with you guys as well. Okay. So definitely join us. I'm looking at my, my notes to see if I have anything else. Yeah. So I think that is really the crux of what I wanted to talk about today. Good. I'm so glad. Make sure you guys hit the button up for StreamYard to see your name. It's going to be really fun. So when you join the challenge, you will then get the invite to the Facebook group if you're already a member. Awesome. You'll also get the Google Calendar. So you get a calendar along with it that you're going to be able to add that'll have all the days and what's going on those days so that you already have it added and you don't miss anything. That calendar also is a great Google Calendar because it also has some of the tax days. So we've added some of like the tax deadlines and things like that people find really, really helpful to have. So you can go ahead and get those all added to your calendar because who hasn't almost missed a tax deadline? Even I have almost missed it. Almost. I've never missed one. I've almost missed one. Even I will wait until April 14th to file my taxes sometimes. So, all right, guys, you guys are amazing. I love y'all. And I really hope to see, I almost forgot one other thing I really wanted to share with you. Sorry, gosh, I got so caught up in the challenge. So yes, I want you in my challenge, my 7-day challenge. Also, if you have been considering, if you're like, I don't know if my business model is scalable, or you've been considering doing like one to many, right? Or something that is more in the online business arena, maybe an online course, online program like I have, I need you to join Amy Porterfield, my mentor and friend who taught me how to do everything that I do in the way of digital courses, right? And go from my one-to-one model to my one-to-many. If that sounds good to you, go join her bootcamp, jamietrull.com/course creator. Her 30-day bootcamp starts today. Okay, it's 30 days, and I still want you in my challenge. But if you have been thinking about course creation at all, I need you in that bootcamp. It's amazing. It's also free. She gives so much value, and you can figure out whether a digital course is right for you and make lots of progress towards getting to that place. Okay, so make sure you're a part of that as well. I know that's like kind of crazy because we've got two different challenges going on at once. I think you can handle both. I really do. If you want to do both, but definitely come to mine. Okay, guys. So I will see you next week to start the challenge on September 1st. So mark your calendars. I'll see you then.